I've seen some things in life that left me shaken, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened to me and my daughter at a Walmart one night in Texas. This isn't a ghost story. This isn't some urban legend someone told me on Reddit. This happened to me, and if I hadn't trusted my gut that day, I honestly don't know if I'd still have my little girl. You think you're safe running errands, just living your life, until you realize someone's been watching, following, waiting, and by the time you notice, it might already be too late. I'm gonna tell you what happened, but fair warning, this story doesn't have a clean, happy ending. It stays with me every night I close my eyes, and it might stay with you too. It was October 2018. I remember that clearly because it was just starting to cool off in Houston. I had just moved into a new apartment with my 2-year-old daughter, Lily. Her mom wasn't around anymore. Long story, so it was just me and her. That day, I had worked a double shift at my job bartender at this little spot downtown. I was running on fumes, but we were out of diapers and formula. So I did what any parent would do. I loaded Lily into her car seat and drove to the Walmart near 45 South, the 24-hour one. It was around 11:15 p.m. The parking lot was quiet. A few scattered cars. Not dead, but not busy. I parked near the front, grabbed a cart, put Lily in. Just your average errand. Nothing weird. Not yet. We were in the baby aisle. I was comparing formula prices when I heard someone say behind me, "Oh my goodness, she's beautiful." I turned around and saw 2 women, mid-40s maybe. One white, one Hispanic. Dressed pretty normal. Jeans, cardigans. They didn't look homeless. Didn't look dangerous. At first, I smiled. I mean, people say stuff like that all the time. Lily's a cute kid. But then the white lady reached into the cart. Like, reached in and touched Lily's cheek. "She has such a pure soul," she said, almost like she was whispering it to herself. "She needs a blessing." I gently moved her hand away. I said, "Nah, we're good, thank you." That's when something changed. Her smile disappeared, like a light switching off. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "It's important that she gets this blessing. We're anointed." I felt this chill run up my spine. Not like fear exactly. More like something was wrong. Like I needed to get away. I said, "I'm in a hurry, I appreciate it, but we gotta go." They didn't move. I turned the cart and left the aisle. Fast. Looking over my shoulder. They didn't follow me immediately. But I knew it wasn't over. I tried to shake it off. Grabbed what I needed, started heading toward the front of the store. That's when I saw them again. This time at the end of another aisle. Just standing. Watching. I felt it again. That gut instinct. That primal warning in your brain that says, you're being hunted. I sped up. Got to self-checkout. The Hispanic woman was suddenly behind me. She leaned close and whispered, "It's not too late to let us take her." I whipped around. "Get away from me." People started to look. The woman just smiled and walked off like nothing happened. The cashier asked if everything was okay. I lied. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I grabbed Lily, left the cart behind, and walked fast, too fast, toward the exit. That's when I noticed something that made my blood go cold. The women were outside, standing by a white van. No plates on the front. Tinted windows. The van was parked directly across from my car. I stopped. I turned around and went back into the store. Security looked bored when I asked for help. I told them 2 women were harassing me and might be waiting for me outside. The guard walked with me to the door, then just waved me off. Didn't come out with me. Didn't seem to care. I held Lily tighter than I ever had in my life. I made a loop through the lot. Took a longer route to my car. Kept my key in hand like a weapon. The women were still there. Watching. One was talking on her phone now fast, like she was describing someone. Me. I unlocked my car and shoved Lily into her seat. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the buckle. I heard a door slide open behind me. The van's side door. I turned and sprinted around to the driver's side. Just as I slammed my door shut, the white woman was already walking toward us. I peeled out of that parking lot like my life depended on it. Because it did. I drove straight to the nearest police station. Didn't care if it sounded crazy. The officer at the desk took me seriously once I mentioned the van. And what they said. He took a deep breath. Then told me something I'll never forget. "You're not the first one." They'd had 3 reports in the last month of similar encounters. Same van, 2 women, always targeting women with young kids. One woman actually got followed all the way home. But by the time police got there, the van was gone. No plates. No fingerprints. Nothing. He said they suspected it was a human trafficking ring. That they used harmless-looking people, women, usually to make people let their guard down. And that they used the blessing thing a lot. It's a tactic. Something about it gets people to stop. To talk. To hesitate. That moment of hesitation? That's all they need. I don't go to Walmart at night anymore. I don't go anywhere alone with my daughter after dark. I watch every car that follows me for more than a block. I still think about what would have happened if I had let them touch her again. Or talk just a few minutes longer. What if the van had been just a little closer? What if Lily hadn't cried when they touched her cheek? I didn't save her because I was smart. I saved her because I got lucky. And I don't know how many people weren't as lucky as we were. So if someone ever gets too friendly with your kid, if a stranger starts talking about blessings or energy or anything that doesn't feel right, trust your gut. Don't wait. Don't be polite. Run. Because there are monsters out there. And not all of them hide in the dark. I'm not proud of what I did that day. You always think you'll be the kind of parent who never looks away, who never lets their kid out of arm's reach, that nothing will ever happen to your child because you're careful, you're responsible, you're aware. But sometimes all it takes is 1 second, just one blink. That's all it took for me. This happened about 2 years ago in a Walmart not far from where I live, just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. It was around 6:30 on a Wednesday night, still light out. Nothing weird or unusual. It was just me and my 3-year-old son, Caleb. We'd done this 100 times before. In and out, grab a few things, head home. That night, I remember it clear as day. Caleb had just finished daycare. He was a little grumpy, but hanging in there. I promised him we'd get a treat if he behaved while I picked up groceries. He held my hand through the parking lot. Everything felt normal, safe. I even remember thinking to myself, we're making good time, like this was just another evening. We started in produce, then moved on to dry goods. Caleb wanted to walk beside me instead of riding in the cart, and since it wasn't too busy, I figured, why not? Let him feel like a big boy for once. The mistake came when I stopped to check the price tags on some canned soup. Stupid, I know. I looked down at my phone for a second, just to double-check a recipe. Literally maybe 10 seconds. When I looked up, Caleb was gone. Gone. Just not there. I called his name right away. Caleb. Nothing. I checked the next aisle. Empty. No little footsteps. No voice saying, "Mommy, look." Nothing. My stomach dropped so hard I almost puked. You know that feeling when your ears go hot and the room starts spinning? Yeah, that. I ran. Not walked, ran. Down the aisle, through the cereal section, then back toward the carts. No sign of him. I started yelling his name louder, my voice cracking. People turned and stared. A couple older women looked confused. A man in a flannel shirt asked me if I was okay. No, my son. He's missing. He's 3, blonde hair. He was just here. I could hear how desperate I sounded. They paged over the intercom. I was shaking all over. Employees started looking in bathrooms, storage rooms, even the parking lot. I followed one of the managers as she checked every aisle. I couldn't stop thinking the worst. What if someone had taken him? What if he got out to the road? What if he was already in someone's car, leaving? I was seconds away from calling 911 when I heard it. A sound I can still hear in my dreams. A soft knock, like a tiny hand tapping on plastic. The manager stopped. We were near the frozen food section. She looked toward the chest freezers, the kind with the flip-up lids where they keep the big bags of ice cream or frozen veggies. And we heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. Then a muffled cry, just barely. She ran over, pulled open one of the freezers. And there he was, curled up, shaking, little face red from crying. My Caleb, inside the damn freezer. I swear to God, my heart stopped. I yanked him out so fast I nearly fell backward. He was freezing. His lips were blue, but he was breathing. Alive. The manager called for a blanket. Someone grabbed a space heater. People gathered around. I was crying, holding him, whispering, "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." But here's the part one still can't explain. When I asked him what happened, how he got in there, He said something that still keeps me up at night. I said, "Caleb, baby, why did you climb in there?" And he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "The lady told me to." At first, I thought maybe he meant someone helped him, like another customer, maybe even trying to be funny in a bad way. But when I asked what lady, he said, "The cold lady." I asked, what did she look like? He said she had no shoes. I asked if she worked there, and he shook his head. Then he said something that made the hairs on my arms stand straight up. She was already inside. She said it was safe. I was frozen. I asked him again, trying not to sound scared, was she hiding in the freezer? He just nodded, like it was no big deal. Like that's just what he saw. The manager heard this too. She looked just as confused as I did. We opened every other freezer and checked the cameras. Nothing. There was no one in there. No footage of a woman with Caleb. He wasn't followed. He just wandered off. On his own. They chalked it up to a freak accident. Said kids are curious. Said maybe he climbed in because the lid was left open by another customer. That it probably shut behind him. But here's the thing, I tried lifting that freezer lid myself. It's heavy. There's no way a 3-year-old shuts that thing from the inside. And Caleb had never seen that kind of freezer before. When we got home that night, I tried to let it go. Tried to calm down. But then I found something in his jacket pocket. Something I know I didn't put there. I've always trusted my instincts. You grow up in a big city like Philly, and you learn quick when someone's watching you, when something's off. My mom used to say, "Your gut knows before your brain does." And she was right. But no matter how much street smarts you think you've got, nothing prepares you for the kind of fear that just takes your breath away. The kind that doesn't stop when you leave the store. The kind that follows you home. I was 17 when this happened. It was the middle of May, a Saturday. I remember because it was the first warm day that actually felt like summer. You know, that first real nice day where people are out mowing lawns and blasting music with their car windows down? Me and my mom had gone to Walmart to pick up a few things. Shampoo, a couple frozen dinners, random stuff for the house. Just one of those quick trips. I was in shorts and a tank top, hair up, nothing fancy. I didn't even bring my phone. That part really bugs me now. Anyway, we get there around 6 p.m. Still plenty of daylight. We head inside, and everything's normal at first. We're walking through the health and beauty aisle when I see this guy. First, I don't even notice him. He's just standing there near the razors, not doing anything weird. Probably late 30s, early 40s, white guy, black baseball cap, sunglasses on inside, which was odd. Worn out hoodie, scruffy beard. The kind of guy you wouldn't look at twice unless something was off. And something was definitely off. Because as we moved to the next aisle, he moved too. Didn't grab anything. Didn't even pretend to shop. He just stood there at the end of the aisle, watching. I started to feel it in my chest, that heavy, sharp kind of anxiety, like your body knows something your brain hasn't caught up with yet. I whispered to my mom, "That guy's following us." She glanced over her shoulder, shrugged it off. Maybe he just happens to be walking the same direction. Yeah, okay, maybe. But then we turned and doubled back, and he turned and doubled back too. By the third aisle, it was no longer maybe. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't browsing. He was watching me. He'd stop a few feet away, just staring, not blinking, like I was something in a window he wanted to buy. My mom finally clocked it. She put herself between me and him, stared right at him and said, "Can we help you with something?" And I swear to you, the man smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not an oops, I got caught smile. It was slow, creepy, almost proud. Then he turned around and walked away. Just like that. Calm. Like nothing happened. We stood there for a second, both of us trying to shake off the chill. I wanted to leave right then and there, but my mom tried to brush it off. Let's just finish quick and go. So we did. We kept close. I stuck by her side like glue. We didn't see him again, not inside. And when we walked out into the parking lot, I remember thinking maybe it was over. We got to our car. Mom popped the trunk. That's when I saw it. A white van, parked across the aisle, facing us. Engine off. Windows tinted dark except for the front windshield. And behind the glass was him, sitting in the driver's seat. And on his dashboard, pictures, laid out in a row. I couldn't breathe. At first, I thought maybe I was seeing things. I walked closer, maybe 10 steps, just enough to squint at the dash. There were 4 or 5 photos, printed like from a cheap home printer. Not high quality, but clear enough. And every single one of them was me. Me in the store. Different aisles, different angles. One from behind when I bent down to grab something. One of me walking beside my mom. He'd been taking pictures the entire time. I grabbed my mom's arm and pulled her. That's him. That's the guy. Look, he's got pictures of me. She froze. The man just stared at us from the van. Didn't move. Didn't hide the photos. Just sat there. Then, I swear, he winked. My mom pulled her phone out and called 911 on the spot. Told them there was a man stalking us, sitting in a van with pictures of her teenage daughter on the dash. While she was on the call, I kept watching him. And he just kept smiling. Didn't look scared. Didn't drive off. Not yet. It wasn't until we heard the sirens, maybe 4 or 5 minutes later, that he started the engine. Pulled out smooth, no rush. Turned left, then right, and was gone. By the time the cops got there, the van was long gone. No plates. At least not on the front. We filed a report. Gave his description. Told them everything. They checked the parking lot cameras. And guess what? The camera facing his van wasn't working. Not that night. Of course it wasn't. The cops told us they'd keep an eye out. That they'd seen situations like this before. Sometimes guys follow girls, take pictures, and sell them online. Sometimes it's worse. Human trafficking. Stalking. Obsession. Take your pick. They said we were lucky. But it didn't feel like luck. That whole night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. That face. That smirk. The way he just sat there like he had all the time in the world. Like he knew something we didn't. The part that still messes with me? He didn't run. Not until the very last second. It was like he wanted us to see him. Like he wanted me to know. It felt personal. For weeks after, I kept looking over my shoulder. Every time I walked to school. Every time I went to work. I started taking a different route. Changed the locks on our house. Even made my mom switch cars with me when I got my license. But the worst part? 2 weeks later, we found something in our mailbox. An envelope. No stamp. No return address. Inside were 3 photos. The same kind that were on his dashboard. Of me. In Walmart. No note. No message. Just the photos. We called the cops again. Gave them the envelope, but they couldn't trace it. No prints. No DNA. No camera footage of who dropped it off. Nothing. It was like he vanished. To this day, I don't know who he was. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know if he was trying to scare me, or if I was supposed to be the next missing girl on the news. But I do know this: trust your instincts. If you feel like someone's watching you, they probably are. If you see someone in a store, and they keep showing up near you again and again, that's not a coincidence. That's a red flag. And don't wait for them to do something worse. Speak up. Get help. Make noise. Make people look. It might save your life. I still go shopping with my mom sometimes, but we don't take our time anymore. We don't linger, and I always check the cars around us before we get in, because I don't know where he is now. I don't know if he ever stopped following girls, but I do know he never got caught, and I still wonder if he's out there, right now, sitting in a different parking lot, camera in hand, smiling behind a tinted window, waiting for the next girl who doesn't look up.
Before we move on to the next story, if you like true scary stories, please subscribe to StoriTeller and click the bell icon for more creepy tales every week.
I used to work nights at a Walmart just outside Tulsa. Graveyard shift. You know, the kind where the store closes to customers, and it's just you and a few other tired souls scrubbing floors, restocking shelves, and trying not to fall asleep on your feet. It's quiet, usually. Boring. Peaceful, even until something breaks that silence and changes the way you look at the world forever. This story still messes with my head, because what happened that night wasn't a prank. It wasn't a tech glitch or some misread sound. I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard. And I still think about it every damn time I walk past a freezer. It was a Tuesday night in September. Hot as hell outside. Sticky. The kind of night where the humidity just clings to you. We'd just finished closing the store at 11. I clocked in a few minutes early, grabbed a mop, and went to work in the back near the meat department. My coworker Darren was cleaning the floors up near electronics. and our supervisor Lisa was in the break room doing paperwork. It was just the three of us. I had my headphones in, like always, one earbud, just enough to keep me sane while I mopped. And then it happened. Just as the lights dimmed, standard for cleaning hours, I felt it. A scream, high-pitched, sudden, echoing through the building like it was bouncing off every aisle. I yanked my earbuds out, heart already pounding. The sound was so loud, so real, I thought for sure someone was hurt. I dropped the mop and shouted for Darren. He came around the corner, wide-eyed. "You heard that too, right?" We both looked toward the back of the store, the freezer aisle. That scream came from there. Now, you gotta understand, this was after closing. No customers, doors locked. No one should have been in the store except us three. That's what made it worse, because the scream didn't sound like it came from a recording or a phone or anything like that. It was raw, like it was ripped out of somebody's lungs. We moved quick. Darren grabbed a flashlight, and I followed him down the center aisle. We slowed near the freezer section. The second we stepped into that part of the store, I felt it, like a blast of cold air hit my chest. It wasn't normal cold. It was wrong cold. It went straight into your bones, like stepping into a walk-in freezer barefoot. The lights above the freezers were flickering, just in that section, buzzing like old fluorescent bulbs losing power. It gave the whole aisle this sick, strobe-like effect. Every few seconds, the shelves and freezers would light up, then drop into shadows again. We called out, "Hello? Is anyone back here?" No answer. I turned to Darren, but he was just staring ahead, frozen. I followed his gaze. One of the large chest freezers at the end of the aisle, it was open. Just a little. Not wide. Just enough for someone to slip inside. We looked at each other, then moved in. I reached for the lid and slowly lifted it all the way up. Inside, nothing but frost. No food, no plastic wrap. Just this thick, icy layer across the entire inside. And what caught me immediately was the lid itself. It was coated. From the inside. That's not how it's supposed to be. You get frost on the walls, maybe a little near the vents, but not the lid. Not like that. Unless someone had been inside, breathing. I whispered, "No way someone was in here." And then Darren said, "Check the cameras." We booked it to the back room. The security office was cramped, smelled like burnt coffee and Lysol. Lisa was already in there, staring at the monitors, her expression tight. She'd heard the scream too and was already scrubbing through the footage. We told her what we saw, the open freezer, the frost on the inside. She didn't say much, just nodded and clicked back to around 10:45 p.m. right before we heard the scream. And that's when we saw it. At first, I thought the cameras glitched. The footage was grainy, black and white, but clear enough. There, on aisle 17, was a person. Kinda thin, hunched over. Moving slow. Real slow. Like they were sick or hurt. No shoes. No cart. No urgency. Just walking. Then the figure stopped in front of that same freezer we found open. They stood there for a solid 30 seconds. Not moving. Not touching anything. Then they bent down and crawled into it. I mean literally got on all fours and slid inside, head first, disappearing completely. The lid didn't move, but it clicked shut. I swear on everything, it clicked shut on its own. We all stared at the screen, waiting. Nothing happened. No one came to let them out. No one else passed through the aisle. And for the next hour, nothing. Until 12:03 a.m. The screen flickered like static, and right then, you see it, the lid suddenly jolts, just slightly. A second later, the security camera shakes, and that's when we heard the scream in real time. A second after the camera twitch, our mics picked it up. That exact scream. Right there. Perfect sync. Lisa paused the video. Her hand was shaking. Darren muttered, "That's not possible. That's not possible." And I asked the question that had been burning a hole in my brain since I saw that freezer. If someone went in, where did they go? Lisa ran the footage forward. From 12:03 to closing, nothing. No figure coming out. No lid opening. Just empty aisles and that freezer sitting there like it didn't just swallow someone whole. I asked her to rewind again. Go back to before they showed up. Aisle 17. She did. We watched it frame by frame. Here's the part that made my skin crawl. The person, whatever they were, didn't walk into the aisle from the front or the back. They didn't come from anywhere. They just appeared. 1 second, the aisle was empty. The next, there they were. Like they blinked into existence already halfway down the row. No camera blind spot. No explanation. Just pop. There. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, when we paused it and zoomed in, you couldn't even make out their face. It was just a blur. A smudge where eyes and a mouth should be. Almost like the camera couldn't focus on them. Lisa finally said, "That's not a customer. We didn't have anyone matching that look tonight." She pulled the log from the front register. Last person to leave was scanned out just before 10:30. This was after that. She called the store manager, woke him up. Told him what we saw. He said to lock the doors and call the cops. We did. 2 officers showed up about 20 minutes later. We showed them the footage. They looked disturbed but calm. Too calm. Like they'd seen weird stuff before and didn't want to admit it. Then one of them asked, "Did you open the freezer after?" We nodded. "What was inside?" "Just frost," I said. And that's when the officer looked at the other and said, "Low," but I heard him. Just like the last time. I froze when I heard that. The last time. I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you mean by that?" The older cop, guy with a thick mustache and tired eyes, gave me this long look. Then he said, "You didn't hear it from me, but this isn't the first report we've gotten from the store. Or from this aisle." He said there had been 2 other calls in the past 5 years. Both after closing. Both involving screams heard near the freezer section. One time, a night stalker quit on the spot, said he saw a woman crawling into a chest freezer. But when security checked, no woman. Just frost. Same thick kind, like it had flash frozen from the inside. The other report? Even worse. A cleaner claimed to have heard someone banging from inside the freezer, like fists pounding against the lid, but when they opened it, nothing. Empty. Dry frost on the lid. No handprints. No air displacement. Nothing that made any damn sense. Cops came, reviewed footage, just like us. Same story. Figure appears out of nowhere, crawls in, doesn't come back out. But there's never been an ID. Never a name. Not even a clear face. The officers didn't stay long. Took a copy of the footage, gave Lisa a case number, and told us to report anything else unusual. That was it. No follow-up. No news story. Nothing. Just this heavy, unspoken agreement we weren't gonna talk about it. Not to each other. Not to anyone else. Like we all just wanted to pretend it hadn't happened. But I couldn't. Because it wasn't over. And I know that now. Because the next night, I saw them again. I wasn't even working that night. I had asked for the next 2 shifts off, needed time to clear my head. I couldn't stop seeing that blurred face in my sleep. Couldn't stop hearing that scream echo every time I closed my eyes. But I couldn't stay away either. I parked across from the store just after midnight. I told myself I just wanted to convince myself it was over. Maybe the cameras glitched. Maybe my brain did what brains do, made something out of shadows and stress. But then I saw it. Through the big front windows, just barely lit by those dim safety lights, I saw movement. A person. Down by the freezer aisle. Same size. Same posture. Same strange, twitchy, slow crawl. And then this is the part that still makes my stomach turn. They looked up. Straight at me. Even though I was outside. Even though there was no way they could have seen me in the dark, behind a windshield, half a parking lot away. They looked right at me. Held still. And then they smiled. Not a regular smile. Not even a threatening one. Just wide. Too wide. Like it wasn't meant for a human face. I blinked. Gone. Just like that. No movement. No walking away. Just gone. I got out of my car. I know, stupid, but I had to see. Had to know if they were really gone. I walked up to the glass, cupped my hands against the window, peered into that dead quiet store. Empty. I stood there a full minute. Then I turned to leave. And that's when I heard it again. Not from inside. This time, the scream came from behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly lost my footing. The parking lot was empty. Dead silent. No wind. No passing cars. Nothing. But the scream. That same high-pitched, blood-freezing scream. I swear to you it was no more than 10 feet behind me. Like someone had leaned in and screamed directly into my ear. But no one was there. Not a single damn person. I backed up slowly, my eyes scanning every row of cars, every shadow. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was watching me. Not from the store, not from the lot, but everywhere. I jumped in my car and locked the doors. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the keys. I started the engine and peeled out of that parking lot like a man possessed. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the next night either. 2 days later, I got a call from Darren. He quit. Said he was doing inventory in frozen foods when he heard knocking. From inside a freezer. He opened it. Nothing. But this time, there were handprints in the frost. 5 long, narrow fingers. Dragged across the inside of the lid. I never went back to that job. Didn't even pick up my last check. And I never shop at that store anymore. Hell, I don't even drive past it. I go out of my way, miles out of my way, just to avoid it. But sometimes, on the nights I do have to pass through that part of town, I swear I feel it again. That same cold. That same pressure in my chest. Like the air itself knows something I don't. And every now and then, I'll hear something under my breath. Real low. Real faint. A scream. Not loud this time. Just waiting. Like whatever it is, whatever's still hiding in that freezer aisle, isn't done yet. And the next time someone walks past after closing, they might not walk out.